So the program 3B, it talks about the multi-threading concept. So uh, the statement is write a Java program that implements multi-threaded applications, okay, that has three threads. First thread, it generates a random integer for every 1 second, and second thread, it computes square of the number and prints. Then third number prints the value of cube of the number. So we have to create three threads and we have to compute what they are doing. So I have written the first thread, so class, because there has to be a three classes. So each class means each thread does its work. So first class, so how to make it as a thread? Just simple, extends a thread class, then this class has become your thread. So it is a thread because a class random integer thread, it extends thread. So the moment you extend a thread class, then you are inheriting the properties of your thread class, and this becomes a thread. So what this is doing? It is doing a first thread, it generates a random integer number. For how many seconds? For every 1 second. Okay, so we have to generate a random integer. So there is a class called as random. Just create an object of random class. How you can create? Name of the class, variable name is equals to new, same name of that class. So random class is a class which generates a random number generate. It generates a number between what value you are passing. Okay, so we will use this instance, and for every thread where the logic has to be written, it has to be written inside your run method. So there are two methods. One is a start method. So the moment you call or run that start method, it implicitly calls its run method. Means if I call the random class start method, that method will implicitly call the run method of that class. So we will do it. We will do it in our main function. Okay. So how many random integers? It has to generate some random integers. It generates a random integer for every 1 second. So we'll take this as, we'll generate 10 random integers, but they can be anything. So I don't know what it will be generated every time. So random number generated is this. So simple, that program I have written for only 10 iterations. Okay. Then we have to sleep, make it sleep for every 1 second, it will go for sleep. So we know the moment you inherit, so thread sleep is a method of thread class which is a static method. So that's why we have not created any object. So it is a static method if you see. So the static methods can be called by name of the class. So name of the class is thread.sleep. The moment you call this sleep, it will take milliseconds as input, but it throws what exception is interrupted exception. Means uh, if you want to use this method, it should be put into a try block, then you have to catch which exception? Interrupted exception. Okay, so I'll just use that try block because I want to make this thread go for sleep. How many seconds? 1 second. So I know, because it takes only a millisecond as input, you cannot directly pass as 1, so we have to give it as 1000 milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds is nothing but 1 second. So I put it, I have used try and catch because sleep method generates a exception. What exception? Interrupted exception. So I'll just use this. Okay, I'll use this interrupted exception means, and exception has occurred, and I'll just print what exception has occurred from that variable. Then end of this for loop, then public void run method, then that class. This is the first class we have done. Then second one, so second they have not mentioned anything about the second thread computes square of a number and prints, but for every 1 second we don't know, it has not mentioned. But if you want you can do it, but since it is not mentioned I have made it as a I have not used that code. I have made it as comment. Okay, so second one is like class square thread. I have just given a name because I want to see what that class does. So square thread is doing a squaring of a number. It extends a thread. So this is the second thread we have created. But what I will do is I'll just pass the variable so that the constructor and it initializes my number. Okay. Uh, this why we have used this, because the num what we are passing variable and the instance variable, this is an instance variable, this is a local variable num, both have same name, means I have to bifurcate. So this dot num will use for your instance. Okay, so void run again, because every thread logic has to be written inside your run method. How many times, how many numbers? So if you give any number, means if I give a number 5, it will do the square from 1 to number 5. And that means if I give 1 to 5 means it will do 1 square of 1 is 1, then square of 2 is 4, then it will continue till 5. Okay, so that is what it is doing. Since I have removed try and catch, because the statement has not given us like for every 1 second, so they are just printing, that's it. If you want you can just remove the try and catch block and use thread dot sleep, not an issue. Then third one is cube thread, because this thread is doing a cube of a number, same, instead of square I am using cube. So that is only a simple difference we have made. So if you give a number like 8, so it will start from 1 to 8. So 1 to 8 it will print. So 1 cube is 1, 2 cube is 8, 3 cube is 9, so long till 8. So it will print from 1 to 8. Each number means I, because I is incrementing every time. So 1 initially, so 1 cube is 1, 2 cube is 8, 3 cube is 9, sorry 27. So it will continue. Now we have to create a tester method, tester class. So test multi-thread to test all these classes, means threads what we have created. So first class doesn't need any input because it is generating a random integer number. So I am taken as 10 as default. Now if you want to change it, like I want to generate a random numbers like 12 or 15 random numbers, so you can make again a constructor and pass the value, use that number. So instead of that we have used 10. Okay, not a problem. So I have taken for second uh, thread, like how much range, enter the range till the square of a number to be find out. So I will give something 8 or something, so it will find from 1 to 8. Okay, so if I give 8 as an input, so it will print 1 to 1 to 8. So that is the range I am asking. Okay, so for this again I will ask enter the range of a number cube, so I will give 5, so it will find out from 1 to 5. Okay, what is the cube of that? Okay, so I'll call, so t1 is my random thread, so I'll just create an instance random thread int random int thread t1 is equals to new random int thread. So this is the first thread t1, square thread t2, just object is created t3, t1, t2 and t3 as the threads. So I will just start t1, so it is been started. So it will call run method of what class? This class. Okay, so I'll call again t2 dot, so it will call run method of this square thread. Okay, So it is, so in the same way, the square thread run method of square thread. Okay, so here run method of, again run method of cube thread. Now see the output. If you run, the moment you start, it is implicitly calling the run methods. So I'll just start my code. So enter the range, because we are not given any random input, because it is taking for loop 1 to 10. So anyhow it will generate only 10. For loop will continue for only 10 times. Okay, so the range is I am giving 8, and for cube I am giving range is 5. So enter. Now see, random number is generated 47, then square of a number 1. So it is going as long as till 8, then suddenly the cube thread is given a chance. So here the threads, they are not sequential. Every time the output will change, because we don't know how the system is allocating the threads in what order, we don't know. The next time I will give the same input 8 and 5, so it might generate in different order. That is not an issue, because that is what thread is talking about. So it will give the threads uh, in different way. So execution of this thread is not in same way. Okay, so if you give again the input, what is the range, I'll give 8 and 5. See, so random integer this, so it will continue this. Okay, so it is being changed. Okay, so it will change as long as you change the input. Okay, so this is what our thread all about. Okay, thank you. So I just told how the random number is created by using random class, but the method is the next int. So we have to pass the range like 100. So it is creating, means generating a random integer between 0 to 100. So it may generate till 100 only. Okay, so if you want to generate a random integer from 0 to 1000, means you can pass, make it as 1000. Okay, so that is what we have. For I have forgot, so this is the method how we can generate a random integer.